This is a city the world believes it understands. A place known for its breathtaking beaches, vibrant festivals, and millions of tourists who visit every year. On the surface, it looks like paradise. But hidden behind that beauty, there is another world that most people never see. High above the famous streets, built into the hills, are crowded neighborhoods known as favelas. From a distance, they look colorful and alive. But once you step inside, everything changes. These areas are packed with narrow alleys, unstable buildings, and a system that exists outside the control of the government. There are no clear laws being enforced here, no guaranteed protection, and for many residents, no way out. The most shocking part? Even the police avoid these places. Not because they don't know about them, but because entering them is extremely dangerous. This is not just another poor neighborhood. This is a place where authority fades, and a completely different power takes control. To survive here, you don't just need courage, you need awareness. You need to understand the invisible rules that everyone follows but no one talks about. Because in this hidden world, one wrong move can cost you everything. Welcome to a place where fear is part of everyday life, and where the law no longer protects you. Inside these neighborhoods, life follows a completely different system from the rest of the city. There are no regular police patrols walking the streets. No emergency sirens rushing to help people in danger. Instead, control belongs to organized gangs that operate within these areas. These groups are not small or disorganized. They are structured, powerful, and deeply rooted in the community. They control who enters, who leaves, and what happens inside. From a legal trade to enforcing strict rules, they act as the authority that replaces the government. Residents learn very quickly that calling the police is not an option. In fact, it can make situations even more dangerous. So people adapt. They follow the rules set by those in power, even if they don't agree with them. What makes this reality even more intense is how normal it becomes for those who grow up here. Children see armed men regularly. They hear gunfire often enough that it no longer shocks them. Over time, fear turns into routine. For many young people, joining a gang isn't about choice. It's about survival. With limited opportunities and constant risk around them, power becomes the only way to feel safe. And once someone becomes part of that system, leaving it is almost impossible. Because in a place like this, power is everything. Prohibited. When authorities do decide to enter these areas, it is never a normal situation. It becomes something much closer to a military operation than standard policing. Officers move in groups, heavily armed and fully prepared for conflict. Sometimes armored vehicles are used, and helicopters monitor the situation from above. This is because they understand one thing clearly: they are not in control once they step inside. These operations are usually fast, intense, and unpredictable. They may target specific individuals or attempt to disrupt illegal activity. But the results are often temporary. Once the operation ends and the forces leave, control quickly returns to those who were there before. This cycle has been repeated many times, and it has created a reality where long-term control by authorities is nearly impossible. In some areas, locals even warn outsiders to stay away, not out of hostility, but out of fear for what might happen to them. Because in these neighborhoods, unfamiliar faces stand out immediately, and being noticed can be dangerous. There are no formal introductions, no explanations, no second chances, just fast decisions and serious consequences. That is why many of these places are known as no-go zones. Not officially, but in reality, places where even those trained to enforce the law think twice before entering. Skull. But beyond all the danger and fear, there is another side to this story that often goes unnoticed. Not everyone living in these neighborhoods is involved in crime or violence. In fact, most people are simply trying to live normal lives under extremely difficult conditions. Families wake up early, go to work, take care of their children, and try to build a future despite everything around them. They learn how to survive by understanding their environment. They know when to speak, when to stay silent, and when to stay inside. Life here requires constant awareness. Trust is limited, and decisions are made carefully. Even small mistakes can have serious consequences. And yet, despite the risks, life continues. People find moments of happiness. They celebrate, laugh, and dream of something better. But the danger never fully disappears. It remains in the background, always present, always waiting. Because in a place where law does not fully exist, survival becomes a daily challenge. It is not guaranteed. It is something that must be earned again and again. And that leads to one final question. If you were placed in a world like this, surrounded by uncertainty and risk, would you be able to survive? There have been real moments that show just how dangerous these areas can be. In several cases, when authorities attempted to enter deeper into these neighborhoods, they were met with immediate resistance. Armed groups already knew they were coming, and they were prepared. Reports have described situations where entire streets were blocked within minutes. Barricades appeared almost instantly, and communication between gang members moved faster than expected. What shocked many observers was not just the violence, but the level of organization. These were not random actions. They were coordinated. In some incidents, even journalists trying to document life inside these areas had to leave quickly after being warned. Not because they were attacked, but because staying longer could put them in serious danger. There are also stories of outsiders entering without permission and never being seen again. Whether every story is true or not, the fear surrounding them is very real. And that fear controls behavior. People who live nearby know exactly where they can go and where they should never step. Because in places like this, curiosity is not just risky. It can be deadly. What makes this situation even more intense is that it is not completely unique. Around the world, there are other places where similar conditions exist, areas where government control is limited and local groups hold power instead. From certain neighborhoods in Latin America to conflict zones in different parts of the world, the pattern is often the same. Poverty, lack of opportunity, and weak systems create spaces where alternative power structures take over. But what makes these favelas stand out is how close they are to normal life. Just a short distance away, tourists walk freely, enjoying the beauty of the city. Luxury hotels, beaches, and famous landmarks exist side by side with areas of extreme risk. This contrast is what makes the reality even more shocking. Two completely different worlds existing in the same place. One filled with comfort and safety, the other driven by survival and uncertainty. And yet, for millions of people, this is not a story. It's everyday life. Most people will never see this side of the city. They will visit, take photos, and leave with memories of beauty and excitement. But the truth is, every city has layers. Some are meant to be seen, and some are hidden for a reason. The deeper you go, the more complicated things become. And sometimes, what you find is not something you were ready for.